The ocean breeze carried the scent of salt and expensive sunscreen as I folded the last of the poolside towels into perfect thirds. My hands moved automatically through the familiar motion while my mind tracked the chaos unfolding across the Azure Coast Resort's main pool deck. Maya, Maya, Aunt Patricia's voice cut through the ambient music and wave sounds. We need more champagne at Cabana 7. And tell whoever's in charge that the water temperature is too cold. I nodded without looking up. I'll let them know. Such a sweet girl, I heard her tell my cousin Jennifer. Always so eager to help. Thank God her boss took pity on her and let us use this place for the reunion. Can you imagine what we would have paid otherwise? Jennifer's laugh was sharp. 40 people at a resort like this. We're talking six figures easily. Maya must have begged him for weeks. I continued my work, moving to straighten the deck chairs that Uncle Robert had shoved aside to make room for his portable speaker system. The man was 63 years old and still thought everyone wanted to hear his playlist at maximum volume. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my operations manager David. Your aunt just asked me to comp their spa services. What should I tell her? I typed back quickly. Tell her spa services are separate from accommodation packages and provide the standard rate sheet. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. David knew better than to question me, but I could sense his confusion. He'd only been with Harrison Hospitality Group for 6 months and hadn't yet learned all the nuances of how I operated. Maya, honey, come here a second. My mother beckoned from her position on a premium lounger. She'd positioned herself in the prime spot with the best ocean view, naturally. I walked over, still carrying my stack of towels. What do you need, Mom? Your cousin Tyler just arrived with his new wife. They're going to need one of the oceanfront suites. But that snippy woman at the front desk said they're all booked. Mom adjusted her designer sunglasses. I told her you'd talk to your boss about moving some people around. The oceanfront suites are reserved for I know, paying guests. Mom waved her hand dismissively. But surely your boss can make an exception. This is family. Besides, we're doing him a favor by filling the resort during off-season. I bit back a smile. Off-season. The Azure Coast Resort operated at 92% capacity year-round. We'd been featured in Condé Nast Traveler 3 times in the past 2 years. Our lowest occupancy rate was 87%, and that was during hurricane season. I'll see what I can do, I said. That's my girl. Oh, and Maya. Mom lowered her voice. I know working here must be hard. Seeing all these wealthy people on vacation while you're scrubbing floors or whatever it is you do. But you're still young. You could go back to school, get a real career. Your father and I worry about you. I'm doing fine, Mom. Are you though? She sat up, warming to her topic. You're 32 years old, living in some tiny apartment, working at a hotel. Your brother is a neurosurgeon. Jennifer just made partner at her law firm. Even Tyler finally got his act together with that tech startup. Tyler's startup failed last year, I said quietly. Well, yes, but at least he tried something ambitious. He's not folding towels for a living. Mom lay back down. I'm just saying it's not too late to make something of yourself. I walked away before I could say something I'd regret. The thing was, Mom genuinely believed she was being helpful. They all did. To them I was Maya Harrison, the family disappointment who dropped out of business school at 23 and had been drifting ever since. What they didn't know was that I'd dropped out because I'd been too busy acquiring my first property, a struggling beachfront motel in North Carolina that everyone said was a teardown. I'd renovated it, rebranded it, and sold it 18 months later for 3 times what I'd paid. That money became the seed capital for what was now Harrison Hospitality Group. I'd built my empire quietly, deliberately staying under my family's radar. I'd learned early that the Harrison family loved to criticize, to interfere, to take credit for success while distancing themselves from failure. So I'd let them think I was failing. Let them assume my hotel job was front desk work or housekeeping. The Azure Coast Resort was my flagship property, a 200-room luxury resort that I'd purchased 4 years ago when it was bankrupt and falling apart. Now it generated $43 million in annual revenue. I owned 11 other properties across 6 states, with a 12th breaking ground in Hawaii next month. My phone buzzed again. David, your uncle is demanding we move the Thursday night entertainment to Wednesday, because he has a golf tournament Thursday. He says you promised him we could reschedule anything he wanted. I sighed and headed toward the resort's private office wing, away from the pool area. Once inside, I called David. Hey, he answered immediately. Sorry to keep bothering you, but your family is, I know. Don't reschedule the entertainment. We have 200 other guests who booked specifically for the Thursday night concert series. Tell Uncle Robert that Wednesday features a different performer and he's welcome to attend that instead. He's going to push back. Let him. He's not paying for any of this, so he doesn't get to dictate the schedule. There was a pause. Maya, I have to ask, why are you letting them think you're just staff? This is your resort. These are your employees. Your family is ordering you around like I'm the help. I finished. Because that's what they need to believe right now. Trust me on this. It's your call. But for what it's worth, watching them treat you like this is really hard for those of us who actually work for you. I appreciate that. How's the billing looking for their rooms? David's tone shifted to pure business. 41 guests total as of this afternoon. 38 rooms. They're doubling up in some cases and putting kids in rollaway beds. Your aunt upgraded 15 rooms to premium suites without authorization. That's an additional $27,000 on top of the base booking. And the damages. 3 incidents so far. Your cousin's kids broke a flat-screen TV in room 412. Someone spilled red wine all over the white carpet in suite 301. We're going to have to replace it entirely. And there was an incident in the spa where someone tried to bring in outside food and drinks, made a mess, then argued with staff about cleanup fees. I calculated quickly, so we're looking at roughly $95,000 total. Closer to $110 with the spa services they've been charging to rooms, plus the restaurant tabs. Your aunt has been signing for everything under Harrison family accounts like she expects it all to be comped. Perfect. Keep meticulous records of everything. Time-stamped photos of all damages. Itemized bills for every single charge. You're going to make them pay. David sounded hopeful. Every penny. But not yet. I hung up and returned to the pool area. The scene had evolved into something resembling a festival. My cousins had commandeered the poolside bar. Uncle Robert's music was somehow even louder, and a group of actual paying guests looked distinctly uncomfortable as they tried to navigate around my family's sprawling takeover of the prime real estate. Aunt Patricia spotted me and snapped her fingers. Literally snapped them, like I was a servant in a period drama. Maya, the restaurant is saying they can't accommodate all of us for dinner tonight without a reservation. Fix it. The restaurant requires 24-hour notice for parties over 12 people, I explained. We have other guests to accommodate. Then tell them to accommodate us. We're family of an employee. That should count for something. Aunt Patricia's expression turned condescending. Sweetie, I know you probably don't understand how these things work. But in the hospitality industry there's always wiggle room for special circumstances. Just tell your boss it's important. My cousin Marcus appeared, dripping pool water everywhere. Hey, Maya, the jet skis are all booked up. Can you get us in tomorrow morning? Like early, before the paying customers. The jet skis are first come first served, I said. Come on, work some magic. You must have some pull after working here for what, 5 years? 7, I lied. I'd owned the property for 4 years, but I'd been tracking it for 3 years before that, watching it decline, waiting for the right moment to acquire it. 7 years and still doing towel duty. Marcus shook his head. Man, that's rough. You ever think about asking for a promotion or something? I'm comfortable where I am. That's the problem with you, Maya. No ambition. You're comfortable being uncomfortable. He grabbed a towel from my stack without asking. Anyway, talk to someone about those jet skis. Yeah, I watched him walk away, leaving wet footprints across the deck that I'd just dried. A small voice in my head suggested that maybe I was taking this too far. Maybe I should just reveal the truth now. Enjoy the looks on their faces. But no, not yet. Years of being dismissed, overlooked and pitied, had taught me patience. They needed to dig themselves deeper first. By evening the situation had escalated beautifully. Aunt Patricia had organized a family dinner that required us to push together 8 tables on the restaurant's terrace. Our head chef Marie had texted me 3 times about the special menu requests and dietary restrictions that kept changing. I stood near the kitchen entrance, ostensibly checking on water glasses, while my family held court. Other diners kept glancing over at our loud table, some annoyed, others seemingly entertained by the spectacle. To family, Uncle Robert raised his wine glass, a $200 bottle he'd ordered without looking at the price, and to my brilliant niece Maya, whose boss is clearly a saint for putting up with us. Laughter around the table. I smiled thinly. My brother Derek caught my eye and actually had the grace to look slightly uncomfortable. You doing okay, Maya? You've been on your feet all day. I'm fine. You know, if you're struggling financially, I could spot you some money. Just until you get on your feet. He lowered his voice. No judgment. We all have rough patches. I'm not struggling, Derek. Right. I just mean working at a resort can't pay that well. And I know you don't have health insurance or retirement savings, or I have both those things. Through a hotel job. He looked skeptical. Maya, come on. I'm your brother. You can be honest with me. I was saved from responding by Aunt Patricia's announcement. Before dinner arrives, I want to talk about Grandma's birthday next month. I'm thinking we should do it here. Maya, talk to your boss about blocking out rooms for the first weekend in November. We'll need at least 50 rooms this time. I want to invite the extended family. My stomach tightened. That's peak season. The resort is usually fully booked months in advance. Well, surely they can move people around. We're talking about a major celebration. Grandma's turning 90. Aunt Patricia looked around the table for support. Everyone agrees this is the perfect venue, right? Enthusiastic nodding all around. I'll check availability, I said carefully. Don't check, honey. Make it happen. That's what being a good employee means. Going above and beyond for the people who matter. Aunt Patricia patted my hand. You want to impress your boss, don't you? Show him you can bring in business. The irony was so thick I could taste it. But I just nodded and walked away. Later that night, after the dinner that had run up a $15,000 tab, after my cousins had ordered top-shelf everything and charged it all to rooms, after Uncle Robert had accidentally on purpose broken a decorative vase in the lobby, I sat in my real office, not the small manager's space where I'd taken calls earlier, but the executive suite on the resort's top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Atlantic. My desk was custom-made walnut. The walls held my hospitality industry awards, photos from property acquisitions, and a framed copy of the Forbes article that had featured me as one of the top young entrepreneurs in the luxury resort industry. David knocked and entered. Your aunt just asked the night manager if she could get late checkout for the entire family. Like 4 p.m. checkout instead of 11 a.m. What did he say? Told her it would be an extra night's charge for each room. She said she'd check with Maya's boss in the morning. David sat down across from me. This is getting out of hand. They've been here 3 days and we've had 12 separate complaints from other guests about noise, blocked amenities and general entitled behavior. I know, it ends tomorrow. Tomorrow? The reunion officially wraps up tomorrow at noon. Most of them have flights in the afternoon and evening. That's when we settle all accounts. They're going to lose their minds when they see the bills. That's the idea. I pulled up the master invoice on my computer. Send this to legal for review. I want every charge documented and defensible. Photos of all damages with timestamps. Staff statements about any incidents. Credit card authorization forms for every room upgrade and additional service. David leaned forward to look at the screen. His eyes widened. $147,000. They've been here 4 days, not 3, and they added spa services this afternoon, plus the premium bar package Uncle Robert insisted on for tonight's casual family gathering. I highlighted a section. This is just damages and unauthorized upgrades. The base room charges are separate. Maya, they're going to freak out. Some of them might not be able to pay this. Then they shouldn't have spent the money. I met his eyes. I've been letting my family treat me like a failure for 9 years, letting them think I'm barely scraping by, that I need their pity and advice. Tomorrow they learn the truth. And they learn that actions have consequences. What about your relationship with them? I considered this. Honestly, we don't have much of one. They tolerate me at family functions because I'm related to them. They pity me because it makes them feel better about themselves. Maybe after tomorrow, we'll have a chance at something real. Or maybe not. Either way, I'm done pretending. David nodded slowly. For what it's worth, watching you handle this with such patience has been impressive. Most people would have snapped days ago. I learned a long time ago that the best revenge is success, and the second best revenge is letting people dig their own graves. The next morning started early. I was at the pool by 6 a.m., setting up for the final day. The resort was beautiful in the early light. Pristine white sand, turquoise water, perfectly manicured grounds. This was mine. I'd built this. By 9 a.m., my family started trickling down for the complimentary breakfast buffet. I watched from behind the juice station as they loaded their plates, complained about minor issues, and generally treated the staff like servants. At 10:30, I got the text from David. Security incident in progress. Your cousin Tyler's wife just tried to check out and was informed of their actual bill. She's demanding to speak to a manager. I made my way to the front desk, where Tyler's wife, Stephanie, was indeed causing a scene. This is ridiculous. We were told this was a family rate. $2,800 for 2 nights. That's highway robbery. Our front desk manager, James, kept his voice level. Ma'am, you were in an oceanfront premium suite. The rate for that category starts at $1,200 per night. Plus you utilized room service 4 times, the spa twice, and the minibar extensively. Maya, Stephanie spotted me. Tell them there's been a mistake. This can't be right. I looked at the itemized bill. James turned to show me. Every charge was accurate. That's the correct total. I confirmed. But Aunt Patricia said everything was being handled. That we just needed to cover incidentals. The rooms aren't complimentary, I said simply. Someone will need to pay for them. Well, we can't pay this. We don't have this kind of money just lying around. Stephanie's voice had risen to a near shout. Several other guests were watching now. Then you should probably discuss that with Aunt Patricia, since she's the one who coordinated the bookings. Stephanie's face flushed red. This is insane. Tyler. Within 20 minutes, most of my family had gathered in the lobby, all holding bills, all looking varying degrees of shocked and angry. There must be some mistake, Aunt Patricia announced, taking charge as always. Maya, get your boss down here immediately. We need to sort this out. What seems to be the problem? I asked. The problem is they're trying to charge us $250,000. Uncle Robert waved his bill. For 4 days at a hotel, a luxury resort, I corrected. And the charges are accurate. 41 guests, 38 rooms, most upgraded to premium categories, plus dining, activities, spa services and damages. Damages. My mother stepped forward. What damages? James, bless him, had prepared for this. He pulled out an iPad and began showing photos. Broken television in room 412. Stained carpet requiring replacement in suite 301. Damaged outdoor furniture from rooms 218 and 219. Broken vase in the lobby. Unauthorized room reconfiguration in suite 405 that damaged the wall fixtures. The photos were damning. Time-stamped, clearly showing the damage. Impossible to dispute. Okay, fine. Maybe some accidents happened. Aunt Patricia conceded. But we shouldn't be charged full price for any of this. Maya works here. She's been here 7 years. Surely that counts for something. Employee discounts, family rates, something. I'll go get my boss, I said quietly. I walked away, leaving them grumbling in the lobby. I could hear my mother. This is so embarrassing. I told her to talk to management days ago about the rates. I rode the elevator to the top floor, then rode it back down. When the doors opened and I stepped out into the lobby, my entire family turned to look at me expectantly. Where's your boss? Aunt Patricia demanded. Right here, I said. Confused silence. I don't understand. Mom said slowly. I am the boss. I own this resort. I own Harrison Hospitality Group, 12 properties across 6 states, with a 13th breaking ground next month. I've owned Azure Coast Resort for 4 years. Before that, I built my portfolio from a single motel renovation in North Carolina that I acquired when I was 23. The silence stretched. I watched understanding dawn on different faces at different speeds. That's not funny, Maya, Aunt Patricia said finally. It's not a joke. I nodded to James, who pulled up the resort's ownership documents on his computer screen. Harrison Hospitality Group, LLC. Sole proprietor and CEO, Maya Elizabeth Harrison. That's me. Derek was the first to find his voice. You own this place, this entire resort, plus properties in Hilton Head, Martha's Vineyard, the Outer Banks, 2 in the Caribbean and several others. My company is valued at approximately $420 million. I personally own about 80% of that. But you were folding towels, Jennifer said weakly. You were bringing us drinks. I was observing my guests and maintaining my property. I do that at all my resorts. You learn more about operations from 4 hours on the ground floor than from 4 weeks in an office. Uncle Robert's face had gone from red to purple. If you're so successful, why didn't you tell us? Because I wanted to see how you'd treat me when you thought I was nobody. Turns out, not very well. I kept my voice calm, professional. Now, about your bills. You have 2 options. Option 1, pay in full today. We accept all major credit cards, wire transfers or cashier's checks. Option 2, we can set up a payment plan, but it will require a signed contract and a down payment of 25%. You can't be serious, Mom whispered. You're going to charge your own family. You're not staying as my family. You're staying as guests at my resort. Guests who have racked up $147,000 in charges beyond the base room rates. I looked around at all of them. For 9 years, you've treated me like a failure, pitied me, offered me money, career advice, suggested I go back to school and make something of myself. The whole time, I was building an empire, and you never once thought to ask if maybe, just maybe, I knew what I was doing. Maya, honey, we didn't mean, Mom started. Yes, you did, you all did. Every comment about my sad little life and my dead-end job and how I was wasting my potential. You meant all of it. I pulled out my phone as it buzzed. Excuse me, I have actual business to attend to. It was David. Security situation escalating. Your uncle is refusing to leave and is now in the pool area telling other guests that you're trying to scam your own family. I sighed. Have security escort him to the lobby. If he won't comply, call the police for trespassing. I hung up and turned back to my family. Uncle Robert is being removed from the pool area for disturbing other guests. Anyone else who can't behave appropriately will be asked to leave the property immediately. You'd throw out your own uncle. Aunt Patricia looked genuinely shocked. I'd enforce the same rules for him that I enforce for every guest. This is a business, not a family compound. Within minutes, hotel security, headed by my head of security, Michael Torres, appeared with Uncle Robert in tow. Michael was a former police officer, 6'4", and not someone you argued with. Mr. Harrison was harassing guests and refusing to leave when asked, Michael reported professionally. He also made threatening statements towards staff. Threatening. I raised an eyebrow at Uncle Robert. I just said I'd sue this place into the ground for fraud. That would be a civil matter, not a criminal one, and it's not a threat that concerns me. I turned to Michael. Please escort Mr. Harrison to his room to collect his belongings. He's no longer welcome at this property. His bill will need to be settled before he leaves. You can't kick me out, Uncle Robert sputtered. I absolutely can. You're violating resort policy, disturbing other guests, and have been informed multiple times that your behavior is unacceptable. Michael, please proceed. Watching my uncle being escorted out by security, I felt a small twinge of something. Not quite guilt, maybe sadness that it had come to this, but mostly I felt relief. The rest of my family stood frozen, clearly trying to process what was happening. The rest of you are welcome to stay through your scheduled checkout times, I said, but your bills will need to be settled in full before you leave. No exceptions, no family discounts, no special considerations. Maya, please, Mom's voice cracked. This is going too far. We're your family. You're my family when it's convenient for you, when you can feel superior, when you can offer unwanted advice, when you can make yourselves feel better by comparison. But you've never been my family in the ways that matter. Derek stepped forward. You're right, we've been terrible to you. I've been terrible to you. But Maya, bankrupting your own family isn't the answer. I'm not bankrupting anyone. I'm charging market rates for services rendered. If you can't afford a luxury resort vacation, you shouldn't have taken one. But we didn't know. Exactly. You didn't know. You assumed. You assumed I'd gotten you some special deal through my boss. You never asked me directly, never confirmed the arrangements, just assumed you were entitled to something for free because we share DNA. I looked around at all of them. That entitlement, that assumption that you deserve special treatment without earning it, that's the problem. Aunt Patricia had been quiet, which was unusual for her. Now she spoke, and her voice was different, smaller, almost vulnerable. What do you want from us, Maya? I want you to pay your bills. I want you to understand that success comes in many forms, and your definition of achievement isn't the only one that matters. And I want you to stop treating service workers like they're beneath you, because you've spent 4 days treating me like garbage when you thought I was just hotel staff. That landed. I saw the flicker of shame on several faces. For what it's worth, Jennifer said quietly, I am genuinely impressed. Building all this while God, we were so condescending. Yes, you were. Can I ask why you didn't tell us? Partially because I knew you wouldn't believe me. Partially because I wanted to build something that was entirely mine, without family interference, or the assumption that I only succeeded because of the Harrison name. And partially because I was curious what you'd all do if you thought you had power over me. I shrugged. Turns out, you'd treat me exactly how you've always treated people you consider beneath you. My phone buzzed with another text from David. 3 more families trying to check out and disputing charges. Front desk is overwhelmed. Also, your aunt just fainted in the lobby. I looked up. Sure enough, Aunt Patricia was sitting on one of the lobby couches, fanning herself with a resort brochure, while my mother hovered anxiously. I walked over. Aunt Patricia, are you all right? She looked up at me with tears in her eyes, real tears, which was startling. I'd never seen her cry. I can't pay this, Maya. The bill is $42,000. I don't have that kind of money just available. The reunion was supposed to be a gift to the family, a way to bring everyone together, and I thought I was doing something good. I sat down next to her. Did you ask about rates before booking? I asked if we could get a family discount since you worked here. The person on the phone said she'd noted on the reservation, but that all charges would be settled at checkout. I just assumed. She trailed off. You assumed there would be a massive discount because of me. Yes, I'm sorry. That was wrong of me. It was possibly the first genuine apology I'd ever heard from Aunt Patricia. I considered my options. The ruthless businesswoman in me wanted to hold firm. Let this be the lesson they all needed. But there was a smaller voice, quieter, that remembered being 8 years old at Aunt Patricia's house, learning to bake cookies while she told stories about Grandma. Here's what I'm willing to do, I said slowly. I'll reduce everyone's bills by 40%. That's still market rate for a 4-star hotel, rather than the 5-star luxury rate you actually got. But you have to meet 3 conditions. Aunt Patricia looked up hopefully. Anything. 1. Everyone pays their reduced bill in full before leaving. No exceptions, no payment plans. 2. You all write apology letters to my staff for the way you've treated them this week. Real apologies, specific incidents, genuine remorse. 3. For the next year, once a month, each of you volunteers 4 hours at a local hospitality business. Hotel, restaurant, resort, whatever. You're going to learn what it's actually like to work in service. That's fair, Aunt Patricia said. More than fair. I'll send the revised invoices to everyone's rooms within the hour. The apology letters can be delivered to the front desk by 6 p.m. today. I'll be checking them personally, so make them count. I stood to leave, but my mother caught my arm. Maya, wait, I need to say something. I turned. Mom's eyes were wet. I am so sorry, not just for this week, but for years of making you feel like you weren't enough. You are extraordinary. You've built something incredible, And you did it without any help or recognition from the people who should have been supporting you from the start. Thank you, I said quietly. Can you forgive us? Eventually maybe, but not today. Today I need you all to understand that respect isn't something you give because someone is successful by your standards. It's something you give because they're human. I looked around the lobby at my gathered family. You treated me terribly when you thought I was nobody. That tells me everything I need to know about your values. Derek approached. For what it's worth, I'd like to take you to dinner sometime. Just us. No family politics. No assumptions. I'd like to get to know my sister. The real version, not the one we created in our heads. I considered this. Alright. But you're paying. And we're going somewhere with good wine. He laughed, genuine surprised laughter. Deal. Over the next few hours, I watched my family come to terms with reality. Some handled it better than others. Uncle Robert left in a huff, claiming he'd been set up, though he did pay his reduced bill. Jennifer actually seemed impressed, and asked thoughtful questions about how I'd built the business. Tyler and Stephanie were mortified when they saw the photos of damage to their room, and offered to pay full price for those charges. By evening the resort had returned to its normal calm efficiency. My family had checked out, apology letters had been submitted, some more sincere than others, and the financial accounts were settled. I stood on my office balcony, watching the sunset paint the ocean in shades of orange and pink. My phone rang. It was Grandma. I heard there was some excitement at the reunion, she said without preamble. News travels fast. Patricia called me in tears, said you humiliated the entire family. I braced myself. Grandma was the family matriarch, the one person whose opinion still mattered to me. Did she tell you why? She told me her version. I'd like to hear yours. So I explained. Everything. The years of dismissal, the decision to build my business quietly, the reunion, the bills, the revelation. When I finished there was a long silence. Grandma, I'm here, sweetheart. I'm just thinking. A pause. You know, I always wondered why you never talked about your work at family gatherings. Now I understand. You were protecting yourself, and protecting what I was building. Smart girl, you always were the smart one. And I don't mean book smart. You understood people. You saw things clearly. She sighed. I'm proud of you, Maya. Not just for the business success, though that's remarkable, but for having the courage to stand up for yourself. This family has a way of crushing people who don't fit their mold. Tears pricked my eyes. Thank you. That said, you're still coming to my birthday party next month, right? I laughed. Of course. Wouldn't miss it. Good. And Maya, maybe host it at one of your other resorts. Give this one a break from the Harrison family chaos. After we hung up, I allowed myself to feel the full weight of the day. Relief, sadness, anger, hope, it all mixed together into something complex and real. David knocked on the open balcony door. Final damage report is in. The families who stayed and paid on time were actually pretty decent once they got over the shock. We had 6 letters that were genuinely moving. Jennifer's in particular, she owned up to some pretty bad behavior. And the bad ones. Uncle Robert wrote 3 sentences, none of them actually apologizing. Cousin Marcus didn't submit one at all, said he didn't see what the big deal was. Forward both their names to me. They're banned from all Harrison hospitality properties indefinitely. With pleasure. David grinned. You know, I've worked in hospitality for 15 years, and I've never seen someone handle a situation like this with such precision. I had 9 years to plan it. Fair point. So what now? I looked out at the ocean, at the resort I'd built, at the empire I'd created from nothing but vision and determination. Now, we keep building. We make the Hawaii property incredible. We maintain our standards. We prove that success isn't about who you know, or what family you come from. It's about the value you create, and the respect you earn. And your family, that's up to them. The door's open if they want a real relationship, but I'm done shrinking myself to make them comfortable. David nodded and left me to my thoughts. Below, the resort hummed with life, guests enjoying their vacations, staff providing excellent service, systems I'd built, working exactly as designed. My phone buzzed with an email. Jennifer, Maya, I know I already apologized in person and in writing, but I wanted to reach out one more time. What you've built is incredible. I spent my whole career clawing my way up in corporate law, fighting for every promotion, and I thought that was the only path to success. Seeing what you've accomplished makes me realize how narrow my view was. If you're ever willing, I'd love to learn more about the business side of hospitality, not to network or angle for anything, just to understand how you think about strategy and growth. No pressure. I understand if you need space from the family for a while, but the offer stands. I read it twice, looking for the angle, the hidden agenda, but it seemed genuine. I typed back, coffee next week, Tuesday at 10 a.m. There's a place in the city that makes excellent lattes, and has a quiet back room where we can talk business. My treat. Her response came within seconds. I'll be there. Thank you. Maybe some relationships could be salvaged. Maybe some family members were capable of growth. Time would tell. For now I had a resort to run, an empire to expand, and a lesson learned: never underestimate the quiet ones. We're not failing. We're just building something too big for small minds to comprehend. I walked back inside my office, sat at my desk, and pulled up the Hawaii property plans. The architect had sent over new renderings. I studied them, made notes, sent feedback. This was my life now. Not hiding, not pretending, not making myself small. Just building. Always building. One property at a time.